Yeah. All right. Let's talk about fantasy then. Let's stay out of the political arena.
Exactly. I tried to tiptoe around that. That's not my realm. Fantasy, though, I've definitely have a decent pulse on right now. And my initial reaction was very similar to a lot of the knee-jerk reactions out there. Matthew Berry and most of the Yahoo experts and Jamie Eisenberg of CBS. Everyone's pretty much saying that Ezekiel Elliott now belongs round 3, possibly even round 4, like at the earliest is what a lot of these guys are writing. And at first I was kind of like, I don't want to draft a guy that has number 1 potential over Ezekiel Elliott. I can't take Ezekiel Elliott who's going to miss half the season over these guys. But the more I've thought about it is this. It's like, yeah, sure, Terrell Pryor has number 1 receiver upside. I know Ezekiel Elliott is a number 1 when he's on the field. In fact, the more and more I've thought about this, and I think myself is wrong, I think everybody else that's saying he belongs in the 3rd and 4th round is wrong. I'm actually changing my stance pretty strongly in that if you're a good enough drafter, if you're a strong enough fantasy owner, you will win your title if you take Zeke in round 2. If he falls to round 3, my God, you're definitely winning if you take him in round 3. I still think as long as he's cleared and ready to play by week 8, I know they have the week 7 bye and then he comes back week 8, winning yourself a title if you're a good enough fantasy owner.
Okay.
And I have many reasons. I can keep going.
No, I'm sure you can keep going. I'm sure you can keep, this can go for a while now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So what are you suggesting? You suggesting you just tread water for like the first 6 weeks of the season and then just blow up when this guy comes back?
Where do you think Zeke belongs? I'm going to give you my reasons, but I want your knee-jerk reaction. Where do you think personally Zeke belongs before I give you 3 reasons why he should be a second rounder?
My knee-jerk is probably the 3rd round.
3rd round. Okay. So here's 3 reasons why I think if you're a good enough owner, you'll be able to withstand this kind of 6-storm shittiness and be able to have Zeke come back at the best time. So let me give you the 3 reasons why Zeke should be a second rounder for everybody. One is just the natural talent. I mean, this guy is a 3-down horse in a explosive offense behind one of the best lines. I know they lost Doug Free. I think La'el Collins is going to be a fine replacement. I think everybody's over-exaggerating that. This line is still monstrous. They have a reputation. Once you have a reputation, you don't want to give that up just because one guy's gone. They're going to be grinders again. Everybody overreacting to Doug Free being gone. Settle that down. It's not a big deal. Zeke is a fantasy cheat code. He's along only David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell when he's on the field. Yes, I know he has to be on the field to be that cheat code, but he's still, when you consider him as a fantasy talent, there's a reason he was a top 3 pick in every single league before the suspension. So yes, he's off the field for 6 of those games, but then reason 2, you think of the arrival time. You're going to be getting these services, these cheat code services of just, again, 3-down horse, explosive offense, great line. You're going to be getting those great services, 20 points a week minimum in the most crucial time, the fantasy crunch time, where it's right before playoffs. You need that surge. And if you make the playoffs, you get Zeke in there right at the best time where he's fresher than everybody else. You're getting him, everybody else has taken half a season of pounding, and you're getting this guy who's motivated. He's angry. He's coming in fantasy crunch time as fresh as ever. We've seen, Tom Brady, it was only 4 games, only 3 games for Le'Veon Bell, and he's coming in again. Those guys, you had to weather a lot less of a season. Zeke's again going to be half of the fantasy season, which is tough. That's 6 games, and most owners, that's going to be a tough blow to swallow. But again, I'm confident enough in my own abilities. I'm confident in my abilities to help you guys get through those 6 weeks enough so that you're maybe 4-2. You have to taste, the gross place of 4th place for a little bit. I know it sucks. I like to be at the top of the league all the time, and even then, you might be able to put together a squad that can weather this more than enough, because my 3rd reason here is cheap but very useful Band-Aids exist for the situation. Now, everybody's turning and they're saying, oh, you got to get Darren McFadden and pair up the Cowboys, and, he's running behind that great line, so he'll be fine. Sure, I guess that can definitely be one of your options. I do want to point out that the early season schedule for the Cowboys is brutal, so it's not even that bad that Zeke's missing this. He's going to be missing a pounding from some really tough to play defenses. I forget the top 4 off the top of my head. There's a good tweet about it, though, and it just isn't that attractive. McFadden, this type of aging, I think he's 30 at this point back, going against 4 of the better run defenses in the league to start the season. If that's what you want to go with, fine, but if he's jumping up to round 6 or so price because of this, skip that, and I've got 3 options for you that could really pan out. One is the Tampa Bay backfield. Doug Martin's going in round 6 or 7, and then you take Jacquizz Rodgers round 10. I'm telling you, that's going to be low-end RB1, high-end RB2 production all year. I trust Jacquizz to get a heavy workload those first 3 weeks. Then you got Doug Martin coming back in for the rest of the season. And you're looking at a backfield with Zeke and Doug Martin, 2 potential RB1s by fantasy playoff time. That's sick. And you've used that as a Band-Aid to get you there. Plus, if you don't feel like going that and it's too much risk for you, we've got Terrence West, Jonathan Stewart, both going after round 10 right now. I mean, those are 2 starting running backs right now in decent offenses with decent lines. Nothing sexy about it, but either one of those guys can score a touchdown any given week. If you're talking about an RB2 Band-Aid, certainly not a bad thing. And both of them have top 5 easy schedules to begin the season. So there's some production that you could fill it with. The other thing, too, is some high-end upside guys like Bilal Powell, Danny Woodhead, Adrian Peterson. These guys are going around 5 or 6. So, I mean, if you just build a stable around Zeke, you're going to be able to find a way to just plug that gap for just 6 weeks. I mean, yes, it feels like a really long time, but again, just a reminder, you're getting a top 3 fantasy play every single week at the best time, fresher than he would have been otherwise. Like, that is a huge advantage that we're playing to win the game. We're not just here to be in first place all year and have a pretty looking team.
That was a nice Herm Edwards imitation there. You play to win the game. Give me a break. This is hubris. This is complete hubris that you're throwing at me here. You're basically saying, I don't need a second round pick. I can forfeit. You are saying that because what you're saying, you're saying I can delay using my second round pick until week 7 and still
100%.
Be
if
fine.
You're a good enough owner, you can plug the gaps. I just gave
so
you
you're going to do that in the
Roto
Roto Street Journal League if he's available in the second round.
Think about some of the guys going in round 2 right now. It's like, is Dez a sure thing? I think this helps Dez because he's going to get more volume early season. But no, he's not. Is DeAndre Hopkins a sure thing?
No.
I mean, hopefully.
No, but like, this is vintage Wolf right here because while there are kind of hints of really bright stuff in here, this is the Rob Gronkowski argument that you throw out there all the time, which is just
that's a championship move.
Yeah, if he's healthy, when he's on the field, he's great. And it's like, yeah, he's never on the field. And this is a guy that you're actually guaranteeing won't be on the field for the first 6 weeks. Now, he's going to be around at the right part of the season, in theory. I mean, you can say, yeah, sure, he'll be healthy for the 9 weeks following that. Like, I mean, It's just, that's a huge risk. It's a risk with any running back. Anytime you take a running back high, it's there. When I tell you off the top, okay, you're going to miss 40% of the season, that's a huge risk. I admit he's a great talent. He's a great talent. And if you can plug in the hole and go coast, maybe go 500 and then add Zeke, you're in a really good position. But there's so many things that can go wrong. I mean, do you remember when we jumped all over Josh Gordon last year? We're like, oh man, he's going to come back in week 4 or week 6 or whatever, and he's going to blow our teams up.
He's guaranteed to come back.
No, he's not guaranteed. He's guaranteed to come back just like Josh Gordon was guaranteed to come back. Zeke punched a DJ in the face like 2 weeks ago, and you're sitting here telling me he's guaranteed to come back? He's a loose cannon. There's so many things that you can do when you're not playing football in 6 weeks that could result in you not coming back. Saying that is a guarantee is ridiculous. If everything goes well, then sure. If you can go 500 and bring this guy back for your team in week 7, maybe it's a good move. I think you're being a little bit callous with throwing away a second round pick for the first half of the season. And yes, Dez is not a sure thing. Of course, I don't really want Dez either. But there's guys I would rather have over Zeke for half a season.
Okay, let's go down the list. Let's play the Zeke versus this. And me and you can kind of, agree or disagree.
All right, if you're going to do it, let's do it loud. Let me hear that Zeke. So I'd like to introduce the best running back in America. Was the MVP of the Sugar Bowl and the MVP of the national championship game, Ezekiel Elliott.
Let's go down my second round big board right now.
Throw them down real quick and then let's move on. Or else this is going to turn into like an hour and a half podcast of us arguing about when to take Zeke, which isn't the worst thing in the world.
Turns into.
Maybe that's what the people want. Maybe that's what the people want.
It's an important. You know what? It's a crucial storyline.
I mean, I care more about that than Jordan Matthews.
Right, exactly. This is way more important than Jordan Matthews. We should probably talk about Watkins. Maybe we do that in another podcast. If this ends up an hour about Zeke, that's probably the most valuable thing we could do to fantasy owners because I really think my advice here is going to be different.
Tell me, because I'm expecting you to put your money where your mouth is and take him in the second round in the RSJ league.
So there's 15 guys I take above Zeke.
Okay.
15 guys. I cut the list off at Devonta Freeman, Mike Thomas, DeMarco Murray. That's where I cut the list off. At 16 is where I'm slotting in Zeke right now. Okay. So that's right before Rob Gronkowski. Do you take Zeke or Rob Gronkowski?
I don't want either of them, but
you're not a Gronk guy. I know that.
I'm not, although I've picked him in some mock drafts recently, and my team has actually ended up not looking too bad. But then I'm looking at this glaring potential hole at tight end where I'm like, oh, he's going to play half the games. I don't know. That's like a coin flip for me because I guess I might take Zeke over him because like I think there's just as good a chance Gronk will miss 6 games. And I guess I'd rather have Zeke at 100, than Gronk probably by a little bit.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like Zeke, obviously his 10 games aren't guaranteed. I think the off-field concerns you brought up are real, but he looked pretty damn sturdy. So if you're guaranteeing me 10 fresh games of Zeke at the best time, that is worth a second-round pick. Let's keep going down the names.
A guarantee, yes. There's no guarantees in fantasy football. None.
It's true.
Except Drew Brees is going to pass for 4,500 plus yards.
Yeah, that's essentially a lock. DeAndre Hopkins or Zeke? See, you think it sounds.
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, you got to choose. Don't sit here.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. Look, on the fence is basically a win for you. So you should. That's a win for your point, probably. Like Cooper, if I can't conclusively.
Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, either of those guys.
I would probably take them over Zeke. I'd probably take them over Zeke. Although I think Amari Cooper is probably overvalued. I've had some guys convince me of that.
Yeah, he's so inconsistent. Cooper, Cooks.
I'd probably take Cooks.
Why don't I just, rather than go name by name, I'll just read off the rest of this tier.
Go ahead.
Because he's got to go in this tier, and let's see who you would take.
Okay.
So Crowell, Gurley, T.Y. Hilton, Demaryius Thomas, and Doug Baldwin are in that tier. Who do you take above Zeke? Crowell, Gurley, Crowell. I know you're a big Crowell.
I would take Crowell over Zeke. I'm criticized because I probably overvalue Crowell, but I would definitely take a guy that wasn't missing the 6 games of the season to start. Oh, shoot, Crowell could blow his knee out in week 1. I mean, that's kind of one of the things.
Course.
Baldwin, I think, is maybe a little bit overvalued. I'd probably take Demaryius over Zeke, although I don't love him as a second-round pick. Like I said, I would probably take Crowell as a second-round pick and get Demaryius in the 3rd round, something like that. So I don't fully agree with like this group of picks, but I will say there's at least a few of them you've listed that give me pause. I don't really love T.Y. Hilton. I think there's actually some guys in the 3rd round that I like better than these guys in the 2nd round that you're listing off.
Who? What are some names?
Yeah, I don't have the list in front of me. You'd have to hit me with some, and I might. Like
Jordan Howard, Leonard Fournette, Marshawn Lynch.
I might like Fournette more than him. I'm Lynch maybe on the fence. I'd probably like healthy Fournette more than Zeke for half the season.
Man, I think so. The kind of point that we were able to just show though is
it's not as clear cut. I mean, I'm talking a lot of shit to you, but it's your point is a good one.
Right. So 10 games of Zeke versus any of those names I just listed off is worth it. Again, I think you brought up a good point that I'll have to make sure I'm adding into this article I'm writing that, maybe he does something stupid off the field and then he's gone. There's that stupid report that he could be banished from the league. I mean, come on.
I don't buy into that really.
But at the same time, he is a risk at missing the full year if he doesn't keep his head on straight. So that does need to be weighed in. But at the end of the day, I have a feeling he'll be fine. They'll keep him under close wraps. They were able to get Des Bryant under wraps and the Cowboys. Remember how much of a headache he was for a couple of years. They got him under a good program. I think they'll be able to keep Zeke. You'll get 10 games of him, and it's worth a 2nd round pick as compared to all those things because of what I was saying. There's so many late round guys this year that are just great Band-Aids. The Tampa Bay Bucks backfield, that can Band-Aid it for you. Everyone's like, I don't want to burn another pick on McFadden and Zeke and just have that backfield. Well, don't. Get the Tampa Bay running backs, and then you have McFadden and Zeke not McFadden, Doug Martin and Zeke at the most opportune time of the season. Because now consider this, Nat, is if he's falling after round 2, if he's falling into round 2 or after round 2, you're going to be able to pair up David Johnson and Zeke, Le'Veon Bell and Zeke, Antonio Brown and Zeke. You're telling me you can't weather if you have the sure production of one of those early round guys and then a Band-Aid like Terrence West, if you weather that and then you have those type of talents, those 2 running backs or an elite receiver, Mike Evans and Zeke.
I don't know if I can or not. Look, those are all wonderful pairings that you're talking about.
Think about how many late round – think about how many late round guys we've been able to recommend that have panned out.
I mean, the truth is, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying is there's very few guarantees in fantasy football. A Zeke on the field is a guaranteed 25 points a week. So if you can get me 2 guaranteed 25 points a week for my fantasy playoffs in David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, any of those receivers, and then Zeke, I can find 10 points a week off the waiver wire or in the 9, 10 rounds of running backs. Yes, I have to now take a higher floor draft approach, of course. I can't now take a bunch of the risky guys I love. I can't have Tyreek Hill and Martavis Bryant. Maybe I have one of of them, but now I can't stomach as much risk as I once was able to. I have to get a higher floor team. So maybe I'm drafting more Larry Fitzgeralds, more Willie Sneads, those kind of sure 10 points a week to buoy out my team a little bit. But once I have that high floor team around Zeke, then you tell me I get my 25-point horseback along with these guys that are just churning 10 points out a week. I can manage. I got to take a lot less risk, which sucks because you know me. I love the unknown. I love the risk. If I have Zeke, I can't go for that as much. But there's so many high floor, unsexy guys. Michael Crabtree. We talk about Crabtree all the time. Just sure.
See, I'd rather have Crabtree in the 4th round and get someone else in the 2nd round than blow that on Zeke. Like I'd rather have Ty Montgomery than Zeke in the second. In the second round, I'm an idiot.
That is so dumb.
Unless something changes, then Zeke for half the season.
Ty Montgomery over Zeke.
I'm not going to pick him in the 2nd round. I'm not going to pick Ty Montgomery in the 2nd round. So I'm not an idiot.
Sure.
I'm not an idiot. I can get somebody good in the 2nd round, and then I can get guys like that and guys like Doug Martin and guys like, I don't know, Fournette, who I don't even really love, but I like the idea of a running back that's going to play the whole season. I know that's a crazy notion to you. But,
but it's not. You tell me Ty Montgomery will even approach Zeke on the field when they're both there. 6 games of Ty Montgomery is not worth, 16 games of Montgomery is not worth 10 games of Zeke at the most crucial time. No way. That's just not right. That's the only argument you've made.
So do you think? All right. So do you think that Zeke will outscore Ty Montgomery this fantasy season?
No, if 16, that's a different argument though. 16, like over the last 10 weeks.
I'm trying to win. Fantasy is a week-to-week thing. You got these 6 games are not insignificant. You have to win them.
If you're telling me Ty Montgomery 16 games and then, whatever guy I take in round 10, that I can then take Zeke and like Terrence West round 10, I'll take Zeke and Terrence West over Ty Montgomery and whatever round 10 running back you add to him. That's going to be more like those 16 games are definitely going to be more worthwhile.
Maybe.
It's more
that's interesting. Maybe you might be right.
Think about these guys that are falling these sure points. Eric Decker in round 9. There's just so much you can patch around. There's so many good values. It's more so that obviously you're stomaching a huge risk, but this year especially, the more and more we've done this research, there's just so many good sure sources of points. And you can't say sure because nothing's sure.
No, it's not sure, Eric but Decker, it's a calculated risk, obviously.
It's definitely more calculated than people. Michael Fabiano saying most owners can't stomach taking a guy like Zeke in round 4. Most owners who don't know what they're doing, yeah, sure. If you're not going to give them good advice and teach them how to figure out this situation, yeah, they can only draft Zeke in round 4. I'm telling you can draft him in round 2, and we can give you the advice to work around it and be, 4-2 or 3-3. And then by the time Zeke's coming back and you're still in 6th place, you're already making the playoffs. And then you get him for your late season surge. Then you have Zeke and David Johnson, or like I was saying, those pairings. You have just 2 absolute sure studs. You just don't get even just 10 games. I know you're sucking it up for 6 games, but I really don't think it's going to be that hard of a 6 games to suck up. You can get in contention, you can build some points because Rob Kelly going to pick 100, that's a guy that you can get 10 friggin' plotting.
Rob Kelly. You know what? You just we're making this nice argument. It's like you're a balloon and you just basically opened up the balloon and let out this forget it. Here's how we're going to end this argument right now, because I think that what you're saying might hold some weight. I think a lot of it depends on who you're playing against. Okay. So, you're in a Roto Street Journal league. You would say that counts as an expert league, right?
Yeah, we have some great competition.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're going to be snatching Zeke in the 2nd round if he's there.
If I'm at the bottom of the draft, and I told you there's 15 guys I'd rather have for 16 games than Zeke.
So you don't have to be.
He's the 16th.
Okay.
I'd rather have 10 games of Zeke than only 15 players.
This is the ultimate put up or shut up thing. You're going to take him. You're going to go against guys that you got a 12-team league. Probably 8 or 9 of them are like sharks. And and you're going to take Zeke and you're going to see how you do playing against other guys that know what they're doing and know how to draft. And I predict that it will not be such a breeze as you are suggesting. Now, I think that you could probably get on the internet or find some jackasses that draft, I'm not going to say because I don't want to insult anybody that we know.
Insult people.
But no. This is good family fun. Anyway, that's where we're going to stop it right now. This is our emergency podcast, and that's the ultimatum I'm putting out to the Wolf that we'll talk about a little bit more on the Wednesday pod. But this has been fun. I'm intrigued by this. And, you know, for all the disagreeing I'm doing with the Wolf, I really only disagree with him by like a round. So it's like I don't think he's crazy.
That's a huge round difference, though. Now you can disagree by a third round, but Zeke shouldn't be there in round 3. That's the whole point. If you can get 2 picks and then Zeke's there in round 3, like all these experts are saying, so like if you get, you know, a stud running back and then a good receiver and then Zeke, like if you have David Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and Zeke, then just hand over the title. Zeke cannot fall out of round 2 is kind of what I'm saying. Okay. People, you should be good enough, and you should trust us, trust your own drafting skills. You can build a team to get 10 games of Zeke and then carry yourself to a title. I guarantee it. We'll help you get there. It's to me, saying we're a round off is a huge difference. A round 3 for Zeke is just a guaranteed championship.
It depends where you're drafted in the round. Round 3.
Don't be the guy that
round 3 could be 1 pick different than the second round, depending on where you're drafting. But I hear you. In some areas, that could be a
1 round different. I know, but you know what I mean. Like
I do know what you mean.
It's a huge difference.
I know what you mean. I'm glad.
If you gave me,
I'm glad you're willing to whip your dick out and put it on the table like that. That's the types of takes that we're looking for on this show.
I will say it is easier if you're at the top of the draft. Like if you have a guaranteed David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, you know, if you go Ayaji in round 1 and then it's like, yeah, I love Ayaji. I think he could be a workhorse, but he's not a sure thing. So if you have Ayaji who busts and then Zeke, then you're probably in some trouble. So it does make a lot more sense if you have like LaShawn McCoy or Mike Evans, you know, one of those guys that you know you're getting points from. Then Zeke makes a whole lot more sense. It's a little trickier if you work in guys like Ayaji or, you know, Melvin Gordon, who are high upside round 1 picks, but not guaranteed by any means. But if it's like Jordy and Zeke, I like that. I know Jordy's getting me his double-digit points a week to carry me till Zeke's back. But you got to be careful. Like I think you
should totally go Jordy Zeke 1-2. You should do that.
I could probably do that.
You should totally do that. We should just make it. It doesn't even matter what number you are. You should decide before the RSJ draft you're going Jordy Zeke. Seriously.
You know, I'm putting it on a platter.
You are going to get pig roasted this year, and I can't wait.
Oh my God. This is going to be the funnest when we can. I'm literally going to have Nate save this audio. And then in December, when you've just been bent over by Zeke because he comes in fresh and just spanks it all over the place.
I'm sure that I'll be able to, like, you know, fleece you for your whole team for some guy on my team.
I'll never trade with you again.
You'll never trade with me again. That's right. Yeah, that's true.
That's one of my lessons of last year is I always get cute with the trades at the end of the year, and it never works out. The fantasy gods are mad at me. My team chemistry is shot. Like I'm done with that.
Sometimes you run into guys that are just a little more savvy than you, and you're probably right to stay away from me. I don't blame you. And with that said, I'm going to take the last word on this podcast.
If you're letting Zeke fall to round 3, then you are not a wolf. I will promise you that.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. We're going to try to get this thing out to you Monday morning. That was a nice debate. I'm Nat the Truth Jones.
And I'm the Wolf. See you guys.
Later.
We used to have it all, but now's our curtain call. So hold for the applause. Oh, 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 oh. And wave out to the crowd.